Matthew here, reporting from the FDM printing room. Everything is hard at work printing for, for some orders that we have, because we got to get those done, but also already printing stuff for our Ruins of Drakenfell Kickstarter. So let's just take a look around. I want to talk a bit about what's going on, give you guys an update, because I know we're only a few days in, but we've already started printing stuff, because as soon as Kickstarter is over and we can collect information and all that, we want to start shipping things out to you guys. So let's look around. A lot of the printers are actually printing movement trays, because we got lots of those orders on the Mini Wargaming Forge. But all the ones that are not printing movement trays are already queued up printing the Drakenfell terrain sets. And so you can just see them all hard at work here, printing all the different things that you guys have ordered. Which is exciting, because it's nice to know that we can just kind of get going. After doing, we're working on the Ravished Star Kickstarter, and that's such a long process, because we're going through mold making and working with a factory in China, which is, they're competent in everything they do, but we're kind of at their mercy for how quickly things can happen. Where it's just nice to do a Kickstarter where it's like, hey, we've got this thing, we need the funds to kind of really get it going. And so the STLs are all ready, but we can't just print off a ton of stuff and hope to sell it. And so we need to see what that's going to do. But everything is hard at work. Now you might notice, I want to talk a bit about the printers for a second, because you'll notice maybe a few things. One, that we have a lot of Bambu Labs printers. That's the type of printer we use, but we also have different types. So this is the P1P, this is the P1S. We've got a bunch of X1 carbon, some with the AMS. The AMS is the thing on top that can do multiple colors, and they can kind of pull in. So you can use that for printing in multiple colors, or you can use it for just when it runs out of filament, it can continue on to the next one rather than you having to change it yourself every time, so it lasts a little bit longer. So they're a nice little upgrade. But you might wonder, because I have talked about doing a 3D printing terrain course. If you're not familiar with that, I'm going to put links below, so you can sign up for that course for free at that link below. But also just talking about what printer you should buy if you want to 3D print terrain. And I'll be discussing this in more detail in the course that I'm creating, but let's give you kind of the quick overview. And the answer to that is simple. It's the Bambu Labs P1P. It's this one right here. Not the P1S, not the X1 carbon, but the P1P. And you don't need the AMS units. So if you're looking for the cheapest way to do this, then right now is your best bet, actually, because the P1Ps are on sale, and for Christmas they're doing a special bonus pack of surprise filaments and other stuff like that. And Bambu Labs has really good filaments, so whatever they send will be really handy. So I'll put a link below, and that link is an affiliate link, which means I get about 4% of the sale, or whatever it happens to be, depends on what you buy. But I would honestly recommend these whether or not I had an affiliate link. And honestly, every 3D printer out there I can find an affiliate link for, so whichever one I would recommend, I would want to put that there. So if you want to help us out and you want to buy the printer anyways, now is a great time to do that. Because it's on sale and you get a bonus pack of stuff. And so consider using that link so that we can have that little extra support and have the money we need to continue growing Mini Wargaming. But why the P1P? So I've gone through a lot of different printers over the years. Some horrible, some okay, and slowly improved on finding which ones are better and better until at Bambu Labs. Now, I haven't tried every printer out there, so I'm sure there are a lot of other good ones. But the thing about the P1P is that out of the box, it just works. If you're not familiar with 3D printing with FDM printers, FDM being these, so this is an FDM printer where it melts plastic and puts it down, rather than a resin printer for making miniatures primarily, where it has liquid resin that it exposes ultraviolet light to, which then turns it from a monomer to a polymer, in other words, from a liquid to a solid, and that's how it 3D prints. The nice thing about FDM, first off, is that it's a lot safer. As you can see, I'm in the room with them. Even though there's 25 of them running right now, I'm not worried about the particulates. We've done all the measurements, and there seems to be basically nothing. So it's not nothing, of course. There's going to be some particulates, but there's always particulates in the air. And so everything I can tell from it seems to be perfectly safe to operate them like this. You do need to worry about the machinery itself. They're hot and obviously moving parts, so you don't want to keep them anywhere near children or pets. But with just regular adults, adult human beings, you're usually okay. But the P1P is so good out of the box. Like, you literally open the box, you pull it out, and I think it took us about 15 or 20 minutes. And I'm talking about my first time. I'm not like saying on the 25th printer, we know how to do it so well that it only took 20 minutes. I mean, like the first time I opened it, I remember thinking, okay, I got the annoying part now of assembling the printer, because I've gone through a lot of printers and each one would usually take me 1, 2, 3 hours to assemble. And then there's bed leveling. Bed leveling is where you have to make sure that the bed is well, we call it leveling. It's not really leveling. I can't remember the actual correct term, but where it's the same plane as the motor going back and forth, and that way it can adhere to the build plate properly and print properly. Well, the Bambu Labs P1P, you don't have to do that. Actually, none of them. So the reason it's the P1P and not the X1 Carbon or the P1S is simply price. The P1P does everything you need for printing terrain. If you want to print in other materials, then you might consider the X1 Carbon, because the nozzle is made of a material or of a metal that can handle more abrasive types of filament. But with printing terrain, the only stuff we ever need is PLA, polylactic acid. And honestly, you can almost buy any brand and it'll work. Not any, like there's a few I'd avoid. Off the top of my head, I don't remember which ones they were, because I just know the ones that we do get. Like, we like the Elegoo one, Bambu Labs one is really good. But honestly, like, yeah, we like the Elegoo PLA Plus, but it's cheap. We just buy tons of it at a time. We buy it in bulk, but even not in bulk, it's not that expensive. But the P1P, like right out of the box, you unpack it. It's already mostly assembled. You just have to add a few little, attach hoses and plug things in, and it has a guide to do it. It's super easy. And about 15-20 minutes later, you're done. That's it. And then you have to run software updates, which it does automatically, and you just sit back and wait for another 20 to 30 minutes to do it. But your job is done after about 20 minutes. And then you can print. And that's it. That's really it. You got to learn little things like how to use the slicer. A slicer is a software that converts the digital file into the instructions that the printer needs in order to actually print. But the Bambu Labs comes with one called Bambu Studio, which is the one that they use with theirs. But you literally click and drag the STLs in there, change a couple settings, click slice, click print, and away it goes. So like literally an hour after you receive the printer, you could be printing your first set of terrain or movement trays or markers or whatever it is that you want to do. And it's just phenomenal. So I know this has been a big sales pitch, but it's not meant to be a sales pitch. It's more like a recommendation of if you want to get into 3D printing. Because that's the big thing. I put up a poll, just an informal poll. We had about 2,000 people answer it. And it's just basically, do you own a 3D printer? And 60% of people said no. Which is actually a lot lower than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a much higher percentage than no. And I know that's just a poll on YouTube community, so it's not like a scientifically statistical poll. Like, it might be biased towards people who have printers. They might be more likely to answer. But it's an interesting piece of information. And then out of the 40%, it was about evenly split, like 27% have an FDM and like 30% have a resin. You may think those don't add up. That's because some people have both, and so they contribute to both percentages. So that means that at least 70%, at least according to this quick poll, 70% of people don't have an FDM printer. And that means that when we say, hey, we've got this new 3D printable set of terrain, like sure, you can buy it from us already printed, and we offer a great price for that. But you know what's even a better price? Printing it yourself. Obviously, it's going to be cheaper. There's like prepared food versus raw food, right? You can go and you can buy the chicken as an entire chicken, and that's cheaper than buying skinless, boneless chicken breast and chicken thigh and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to say that it's just as cheap to buy from us as it is to print yourself. Heck no. You can buy a printer and print off so much of the Ruins of Drakenfell, and it's insane just how much money you can save. But there are people who just don't want to do that, and so we'll print it for you. And like I said, we try to charge as fair a price as possible to make it accessible to you. But since there are so many people that don't own them, obviously I want more people to own them so that more people are interested in buying our terrain. And also because I just love terrain so much, and I want that to be out there and make people realize that they can have really cool looking terrain as well. And we'll make painting tutorials and everything like that. So I know I've been rambling for a while, But either way, 2 big points from this video. One is we're already printing stuff. If you bought something physical, we're already working on it. So we should be able to get everything out and fulfilled rather quickly after it finishes. I don't have an exact timeline yet, but I mean, once it finishes and we have the money and we've collected your shipping information, we're going to instantly be shipping and fulfilling pledges. I just don't know how long it'll take to fulfill all the pledges. That really depends on how many more come in, and I don't know the answer to that, obviously, until the campaign is over. But we have lots to do already. And if it gets like crazy high, well, then we'll use some of that money and buy more printers and get it done faster. And thank you for your help in investing and growing the Mini Wargaming Forge. So anyway, so that's the first thing. The second thing, of course, is if you are looking at getting into 3D printing terrain, then a great way to do that is with the Bambu Labs P1P. They've come out with an A1 as well. They have the A1 Mini, which is small, which is a really cool printer. I love it. I have one at home. But it's smaller, and you won't be able to print everything in our set because some of them are just too big for it. But then they have a full-size A1 as well. I just haven't actually used that one yet, so I can't tell you if I recommend it. I think it's slightly cheaper than the P1P. And so, and there's all, like I said, there's all sorts of other printers out there. You might think, well, my Ender whatever works just fine. And it's like, oh, maybe it does. But if you want to know the recommendation of somebody who's gone through a lot of printers and who has to print a lot of things every day and doesn't want the hassle of having to constantly maintain printers, then this is what I would recommend. So, like, there's a chance that there's something better on the market, but you want to take that chance and roll those dice? Well, you're welcome to, of course, but I prefer that 3D printing isn't my hobby, but that the stuff that we print is. And I don't want my hobby to be maintaining the printer. I want my hobby to be actually getting the stuff from the printer and then having that on the table, which is really awesome. So anyways, I think I've rambled long enough for this video. But like I said, if you're interested in anything I talked about, the 3D printing course, buying the P1P printer, that's all below. Or if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to back the Kickstarter, which I would love if you did, because that gives us more money to develop future sets as well, which I really want to do regularly in 2025. I want to do like 3 or 4 more sets just in that amount of time, plus other stuff. Lots and lots of projects. Got to keep ourselves busy as we go into the new year. So thanks so much for watching. Happy 3D printing!